Everybody, welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Wednesday, 9 games starting at 7 o'clock. So let's get into it. Before we do that, I gotta hit you guys with a little bit of a recap. Had a great day yesterday on DK. We hit a 320. Looked really good all night. Had a lot of fire plays in there with Paul George, low ownership, dropping 50 plus. Bembry, Flynn were basically lock value plays once Van Fleet was announced out. And then when Trey Young had super low ownership, Covington only 1% owned, Cantor super low owned as well. Posted the updates before lock like I always do, which were the same six that I used. FanDuel, even with Anunoby, we hit over 303 in cash somehow, even though he was like 3% owned. It's a very fun day of NBA. Hopefully, you guys made some money. Also had a very good day in baseball. FanDuel early slate we had a takedown with a 260 plus on the early slate, thanks to Tyler Naquin and Jonathan India. So it was a very fun day overall. Second, a big solid day in a row. So let's keep it going today. Masters tees off tomorrow. A lot of good things happening. So if you want to join us, you can visit the website before we get started. If not, I just appreciate you guys hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you have not already, and just thank you guys for supporting the channel. Let's get started with the point guard position today. We have a few guys above 10K. There's no Harden today. There's a chance Kevin Durant makes his return. He'll probably be limited, so he's not in play for me in DFS, but that would make a couple of other pieces like not as appealing if Durant is back today. But if Durant happens to miss one more game, then you definitely can fire up Kyrie Irving at 10,200. I like Doncic, Westbrook at 11-1 and 10-9. Porzingis is expected to play. We're still not sure about Bradley Beal, so it would be Westbrook if there's no Beal again. That's the favorite pay-up option. But I like a few guys here in the 8K range. We have Trey Young down to $8,800. He has been playing pretty solid, except for that one game a few days ago against the Warriors. 50 plus, 49, 48, 40, 49, 47, 48. He's been pretty solid recently. And it's a really good spot against Memphis. It is on a back-to-back, but he only played 31 minutes yesterday because they were that game got out of hand late. So he didn't have to play too much, but playing very well, shot the ball really well from distance. They had like 11 for 11 threes made in the third quarter. Really like Young today at a very nice price tag. Terry Rozier at $8,400. He looks appealing today because Charlotte is super shorthanded. If you look at the usage without the basically Ball, Hayward, and Malik Monk, all very high usage players, Rozier leads the way with a 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. In over 100-minute sample size, 33% usage rate, he gets a 0.15 per minute boost and an 8% usage bump. So his price tag is high at $8,400, but there's really nobody that you worry about taking usage away from Rozier. And Graham might do that a little bit, but I like Rozier at $8,400, especially against OKC. Like the first game without Hayward, they got absolutely beat up by the, I believe it was the Celtics. So I think he will definitely have an opportunity to kind of get back on track. And he still put up a solid game in that one at 80 with 41. In the 7K range, you can look to Lonzo if they are without Ingram again. Hopefully Ingram plays today and they kind of are all healthy, except for like Alexander Walker and Kyra Lewis, but at least hopefully their starters are back. And then we have like Kevin Porter 72, so I'm not really looking at him, especially if John Wall plays. John Wall is 81. He's not a core play for me, but he could be in play if he ends up shooting up. Devontae Graham is fine. I'd rather go to Brogdon at 68 if he does play. Really nice price tag in a great spot against the Timberwolves. And then you have Marcus Smart without Kemba on a back-to-back tonight. He should jump into the point guard role, get a lot of assists, hopefully play some big minutes. And then Theo Maledon is always a nice tournament option, $5,400. Don't think that many people will go to him, but he's always gives you that big ceiling. And then for value, it's basically a few teams that are going to be shorthanded today that we already know about. It's going to be the Charlotte Hornets, so you can look to Brad Wanamaker, who's $3,200, going to see a lot of point guard minutes and backup point guard and shooting guard minutes just because they are pretty thin. So he would be a nice value play. And then John Morant left the game last night with a back injury. If they hold him out on a back-to-back, it's going to be Tyus Jones, who looks appealing as a value play. But the guy that I'm going to plug in right now is going to be Trey Young. Just like the price tag on him. It's down below 9K now after he's been playing pretty well. And the matchup, I just really like it. At shooting guard, still waiting on Bradley Beal's status. It's been a while since he's ended up since he's been playing. He was questionable like for many games in a row, but he hasn't been able to suit up in any of them yet. We'll see. He's at a price tag where even if he does play, he's probably not going to be in your lineup. I don't really want to go to $9,300 Devin Booker against the Jazz or Donovan Mitchell at $8,800. I'd rather go to Terry Rozier at 8,400. Just showed you guys the usage rates and the point per minute production without when you take out Ball and take out Hayward and you take out Monk. He's going to play huge minutes, and the matchup is really good. Like, they lost by like 40 against Celtics. It should not happen tonight against the Thunder. Should be a pretty close game throughout, and could even see the Charlotte Hornets be favored or end up winning this game. Other guys that look appealing are definitely Karis LeVert if they're limited without Sabonis and maybe without Brogdon. He's only 71 against Minnesota. That would be an awesome play. You could look to Devontae Graham if you wanted to save some money, but I'd rather go to Rozier. And then Terrence Ross is only $6,400 against Washington. He's got up to 31 minutes, which was good to see last time out. He took 18 shots, was out there in the closing roles. I think he looks appealing just because the price tag is finally not like 7K where he was tough to get to. Will be a nice like contrarian play. I don't think that many people will go with Terrence Ross. And then you can go Marcus Smart at $6,000. And then if they're Grizzlies without John Morant, you can look at Dylan Brooks, 5,600. Maybe Will Barton if they're without Jamal Murray again. He'll get some ball handling responsibilities. And then for value, it's basically the same couple guys I mentioned. You can also look to some of the Martin twins. Probably believe Cody is the more appealing one for DFS. Cody Martin, he's small forward eligible. He's 3,500. Speaking of small forward, you have Luka Doncic at the top end. He's 10-9. Porzingis is expected to be back today, so he's in play, but he's not as appealing as he would have been if Porzingis sat for one more game. If Ingram plays against Brooklyn, he looked fine just because there's only a couple of spend-ups on the slate. He would be one of them. I like Ingram more than DeRozan if he does play, but the favorite guy is going to be Jaylen Brown at this price range. Only $7,800. They're going to be without Fournier, who's dealing with COVID issues, and they're going to be without Kemba Walker on a back-to-back set. So you'll see Jaylen Brown play some big minutes for the team. He's been shooting the ball really well, and he's probably been their best player for the entire season, been the most consistent player. Shoots the ball really well, shooting over 40%. Around 40% from three for the season, over 42% in his last 5 games, playing big minutes, and it's against the Knicks, who are actually been like a really good defense this year, but at home it's just going to be led by Brown and Tatum, the scoring and the usage. So at a good price tag, I really don't mind getting to Jaylen Brown when you have DeRozan similar price range, Edwards with Russell getting back into the mix, so we'll take some usage away from him, and like Porter, I don't really want to pay 7K plus for. And then you can look to Aaron Gordon at 65, Terrence Ross 64. They're both appealing with some upside. Dylan Brooks looks fine at 56, especially if there is no John Morant. Pokuševski, small forward eligible, 5,600. He's in play as well. I love Bridges. Actually, I love the other Bridges, but you could play Mikal Bridges as well if you wanted to as a mid-range option. Barton, if there is no Murray, looks fine. And then it's going to be for basically Justin Holiday if they're limited with missing some bodies. Doug McDermott if they're limited without a couple of bodies. And then Cody Martin as a value play. Jeremy Lamb as a value play. Power forward options, it's going to start at the top with Randall. He's $9,900 against Boston. He's been playing really well. I can't take anything away from him. All season, he's been their best player and been the reason that they're in the playoff mix. It's been amazing to watch, but I just can't stomach paying that much for him when you have Tatum is $800 cheaper, Zion is $900 cheaper, Sabonis is $1,000 cheaper if he does suit up. Just a lot more cheaper options that I just like a little bit more. So we'll have to see who plays in this mess of Q tags here. Porzingis should play. I don't know about Sabonis or Ingram. Rui is 7K, so even if he does play, that's not a price tag you want to get to. I'd rather go down to PJ Washington, $6,100. We'll also get some more shot attempts without Hayward and to continue to be without LaMelo Ball. And then the value play is going to be Miles Bridges is 5K. You should start again for the team, play 30-plus minutes, possibly up to like 34, 35 if he's playing well. On the season, he's a guy it's been fine in terms of DFS. We've seen him have some big games, especially when he's kind of given some opportunity to get out there and run a little bit. And it was really great early in the season when LaMelo was giving him some nice dunks, fun to watch. Hopefully Rozier and Devontae Graham can kind of do the same thing. That will really help Bridges. But 5K either way, he looks like a great play at the if you wanted to go in the mid-range at the position, he's probably my favorite. In the 5K range, like I love him a lot more than Rudy Gay, Finney Smith, Avdija, McDaniels. It's definitely going to be Bridges as my favorite option. And then at center here, you have the top end is Cat and Jokic. Jokic on a back-to-back here. I like Cat probably the most, then Jokic. And then you can look to Zion at $9,000. You can look to Capella at 87. I like Capella more than Christian Wood. Valanciunas is in play at $7,200. Then you have some guys in the 6K range like Jakob Poeltl is only $6,400. Been playing really, really well. Had one down game last time out against Cleveland, but before that 45, 38, 37, 40, 38. Been very consistent, and he's one of the best defensive players in the league at the center position. But I'll go a little bit cheaper and go with a guy like Wendell Carter, who's seen some big minutes since he was brought in, at least recently since he was brought in the trade deadline. Played 35, 34, 31 minutes the last 3 games. Top 40 in each one, missed a double-double by one. And those matchups were really tough. Like Denver going up against Jokic, going up against Gobert, and then going up against Steven Adams. They're not easy matchups at all. He had a really good showing in all 3 of them. And now he gets a lot easier matchup against Alex Len and against Lopez. I'm expecting him to be able to do some work here at a very nice price tag. And then last but not least, assuming that there is no John Morant, they might just be cautious with him on a back-to-back. I will go ahead and put in Tyus Jones, who I do expect to get the start if that is the case, and he would be one of the best value plays on the slate at 3,300. So that is it for the DK side. Let's jump over to FanDuel. FanDuel, you're going to be getting to a lot of Charlotte. Their price tags have not adjusted for the scenario that they're in. But looking at the point guard options, besides the guys in the 10K and up range, it would be Luka as my favorite, and then probably Westbrook if there's no Beal, and then Kyrie. But Trae Young is only $8,200. That price tag is ridiculous. He is going to be one of my favorites to get to. Another favorite is going to be possibly Lonzo if they're limited again. But Rozier is only $7,400. That price tag is way too cheap for him. Averages about 1.2 DraftKings points per minute, over a 30% usage rate when you take LaMelo and you take Gordon Hayward and Monk off the court. Just way too cheap and such a good spot against the Thunder. And then in the 5K range, I look at Maladon at $5,400. And I don't want to go to Wanamaker really. You could go to Jones if he starts. But there's a lot of appealing plays that are above 7K. Shooting guard, it's not going to be Devin Booker for me at 9K. It's not, well, it could be Levert if they're without Brogdon and Sabonis. If both of those guys return, then I won't get to him at $8,500. I'd rather go to Bradley Beal if he does suit up at only 83. His price tag is really nice on FanDuel. And then you can look to Devontae Graham at $6,500, Terrence Ross at only $6,600. And then you have Brooks as a value option, Barton as a value option, even Smart. And then for cheap punt plays, you have a couple of guys in the 3K range that I would like to mention. Besides Jeremy Lamb at $4,100, we have C. Mikhailuk 38, Cody Martin at 38, and then possibly Sterling Brown if John Wall is out again. Well, it's going to be sweet for me. He's just gives you a lot of upside at this price tag. He's dropped over 32 times in 4 games. He's also dropped under 13 twice in the same span. But he's been getting some decent minutes for the team. Even they've gotten blown out a lot recently, so he probably could have got up to 30 in all of these 3 recent games. But he's going to take a lot of shots. They just don't have very many guys to shoot the ball. Besides, like Maladon likes to shoot a lot. But besides him, he should get some open looks, hopefully. And I expect this game to be competitive, so I'm expecting him to be out there for 30-plus minutes. And if that's the case, $3,800, just a little bit too cheap. Small forward, I like Brandon Ingram if he does play because the position isn't super deep. You have 2 guys at the top end, Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown, who I really like at their price tags. I don't really like anybody that's cheaper than him too much. You could look to Edwards. You could potentially look to Porter if they're without Murray. But I don't really, and then maybe Kevin Porter at 66 if they're without John Wall again. Kyle Anderson looks appealing at 63. He's probably like him more than Kevin Porter right now. Definitely more than RJ Barrett. And then there's, in the 5K range, it's basically just Bridges, who I'm kind of considering, and maybe Keldon Johnson if they're without DeJounte Murray. And then 4K range, it's nothing that appealing besides Avdija if there is no Bradley Beal again. And Justin Holiday if they're without a couple of bodies. It's basically going to be a wait-and-see approach on your value options here. So stay tuned for the injuries. And then a power forward, I like Zion. He's more expensive than Randall, so I'd probably go Randall over Zion. Especially on a back-to-back for Zion. I like Sabonis at 9K. If he does suit up, that matchup is just so appealing. Tatum is appealing at $8,800. Christian Wood is nice and cheap, $7,700. And then you have Bridges at 58, Pokuveski, Gallo, and Washington to round out your 5K tier. It's going to be Washington. He's 61 on DraftKings, only 52 on FanDuel. He's going to get big minutes in this one. He's going to get a lot of shot attempts to go around. For the entire team, it's going to benefit him as well. He's just a little bit too cheap. I probably like him a little bit more than Bridges. And then in the value range, there's not really anything that I'm looking at too much closely, except for McDermott, potentially if there's no Sabonis. And maybe Bertans is only $3,700. If there is no Bradley Beal, he will be a nice option to get to. And then at center here, besides Cat at the top end, Capella is 10-4. Capella is more expensive than Jokic. Who would have ever thought that'd be the case? I could not play Capella over Jokic and be happy with myself. So it would be my favorite is Jokic based on the price tag, and then Towns. And I won't be getting to a $10,400 Clint Capella. I would rather go down to a Wendell Carter at 73. He looks a lot better on DraftKings. He's still in play on FanDuel. But Valanciunas is only $6,700. He is the guy I would like to get to right now. It's basically between him and Wendell Carter as my center of choice as of now. And then maybe if Robin Lopez is out, he could look to Alex Len at $4,800. But I like Valanciunas. He's basically been a 30 plus fantasy points, basically locked in for that. Had a 29 in there, which is fine, basically 30. Last time he dropped under 29.2 was back on against the Miami Heat, where he only played 23 minutes. But he's been a lot of 30s and 40s, which is what you want to get out of your center, especially when they're only $6,700. He can get you. He's not very known for getting a lot of blocks, so doesn't give you that much upside in that department. But he's going to get you a double and probably play 30 plus minutes if this game is competitive. And that's basically it for the video. So thank you guys for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll catch you all later.